with medevac repealed, focus has turned to the New Zealand resettlement deal. This was Jackie Lambie's condition at the start of the week. The government has indicated to her this will be genuinely pursued. It did have one major roadblock, of course. The government has been saying all along sending refugees to New Zealand would give them a backdoor pathway to getting to Australia because of their automatic rights as New Zealanders to come to Australia. It has been saying that it could mean boats start again, and it wants to have a lifetime visa ban for anyone resettling in New Zealand under any deal, indeed anyone resettling anywhere. Initially this was a problem for New Zealand though, not anymore. This was Jacinda Ardern on Sky News earlier today.
My view is that that continues to be a matter for Australia. Of course, the way that they choose to place restriction on movement within Australia's borders is something for them, not for New Zealand.
So she's not exactly thrilled with this, but the decision to create a type of citizen that could never come to Australia, that's up to Australia. So what will that mean here? Labor's issue was that a lifetime visa ban, according to the government's legislation, would apply to anyone, even wanting to visit Australia, on any visa, and also not just to the New Zealand cohort, but any of those that were on Nauru and Manus Island after July 2013. It could even include a tourist visa as well. So this was the issue for Labor in not agreeing previously to the legislation that the government put up. They voted against that legislation. The government could not get crossbench support. What's changed? Well, it could well get crossbench support for the existing legislation. It could also get Labor support if the government agreed to the measure only applying to people resettled in New Zealand and possibly only restricted to some visa classes as well. That bit might be up for negotiation. Would the government be open to that amendment? Here was Scott Morrison.
There were so many hypotheticals in that question, I don't know where to begin. But the first of it was an assumption that Labor would actually support strong border protection policies. On all the evidence I've seen, including yesterday in the Senate, where they voted to actually keep Australia's border protection policies undermined by the changes they made a year ago. See, I just don't trust Labor on border protection. I just don't, because I don't believe in it. How do I know that? I've watched it for 10 years.
So Scott Morrison not really engaging in the question itself. Labor says it's written a letter to the minister and has yet to get a reply about a compromise in that area. Make no mistake, the government will have to get serious about this. There's not a deal per se with Jackie Lambie, but clearly she's been left with the impression the government is going to pursue the New Zealand resettlement in good faith. What would the deal, meanwhile, actually mean in terms of clearing the backlog of boat arrivals? Well, let's run through the numbers as we understand them to be at the moment. The asylum seeker backlog looks like this: 208 people in Papua New Guinea, 258 on Nauru, and approximately 1,300 in Australia. They're getting medical treatment, or were getting medical treatment. They're still here because of a court case, which means, well, there's essentially a legal stalemate. So what are the options in terms of resettling that total number of people? You've got the US deal. 905 have been resettled so far or are in the process of being resettled. That means there are up to 295 more spots. Remember, the deal was about 1,200 people being resettled. It doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be filled. The New Zealand deal, this is an initial offer of 150 only. It's not an annual number. Perhaps so there could be some negotiation on that. And then there's the what else. And make no mistake, the government's been working for a while on resettlement options, and they are still doing that. That could be the solution to all of this, another resettlement deal in another country. So what are we looking at in terms of total numbers still with this backlog? 1,766 people, and at the moment 445 possible places, including New Zealand. So this deal is not the silver bullet. It's another piece of progress that would be welcomed. It could well clear the backlog on Nauru and Manus Island a lot quicker than we had expected. It's worth noting as well, of course, that this task, while it looks pretty tough right now, was a lot tougher for the coalition when it came to power. They had a backlog of 30,000 people needed to be processed on and offshore detention. So a lot of progress made, but still a little way to go.